but it's
Okay.
like they've taken the best of all the best, of the most recent and best Street Fighter games, and they've kind of collaged it into one and balanced them out in a way that makes sense.
I want to honestly talk to Greg about his honest opinions about Street Fighter Six. We both have our people we follow personally as far as fighting game players. I know for a fact Greg usually he watches Justin Wong, and I know for a fact I am a Maximilian type of guy. And I just want to do your take because you sent a clip that I wanted to surprise you that I watched of Max saying, "Yeah, destroy Street Fighter 3.
Yeah.
We have a new one. This is the new king. This is now the greatest fighting game on earth." And I want to do your honest take on that because, like Drake Revenge said in the chat, last year, I mean, not last year, but Street Fighter 5 beta release was horrendous.
Rough.
It was
Yeah,
bad, and the launch
I
was
actually,
terrible.
yeah, and I actually took part in every beta for Street Fighter 4, and it was terrible. I remember vividly, so vividly that when the Street Fighter 6 beta actually came out, I had woke up because I had got word that it actually opened up early, and I changed my mic settings on my side. So let me know if this is better for you guys. I know there's still discourse in the chat. Um, but anyway, I remember the Street Fighter 5 beta was so bad that I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning after I had my phone was going off about all these tweets about people getting in early. And I went down, checked the computer, grabbed a bottle of water, and just logged into the stream. I mean, to Steam, logged in just to see if I could get in. And I got in right away, which was shocking to me, actually. Um, but beyond that, man, it was it was really good. As far as like connections to servers go, that first morning, Friday morning around, I think I was excited. I got on like pretty early, around like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Popped over the stream, and
Early
when I
as
first got
hell.
on stream, the Twitch was down. Um, but with that, the beta was down. They took it down for maintenance, and about 20, 30 minutes after the fact, it came back up.
Mhm.
Some people got in, some didn't. They took it down for maybe about another 15 minutes, brought it back up, and then it was just clean there. As far as netcode goes, when I got on, I had maybe, and I played over 100 matches. Again, I played nearly 24 hours within a weekend. That tells you I was going completely nuts with this
He
beta.
did two 12-hour
Uh,
shifts, y'all. That's what he said.
yeah. But even during the beta, I only had 2 out of 100 plus matches where the lag was overwhelming and clearly noticeable. And I had one drop match. So out of 100 plus matches, I only had 3 issues with connectivity. Um, Even and some of these guys, I was just curious because I mean, it's a beta, you want to test it. I even accepted some matchmaking from like yellow pings. Not too many red pings, but yellow pings. And I was still like flying. It was so good that, you know, I honestly could not tell after a while that I was even playing online matches. Um, Granted, I was playing on my PC. I'm hardwired in. I have, fiber internet, so I'm getting gigabit speeds and such. But it was great. So as far as connectivity goes, I'm confident that the game will be great. Now, once we go from a couple thousand with the beta to a couple million during launch week into this game, I'm sure shit will get a little hairy for that first day or two. But if the beta and the way that they were so quick to handle those big influxes Friday morning are anything to indicate, it's going to be fine. Um,
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we could talk about gameplay, but before we get into that, like, did you have any questions about
Um,
anything else with connections or anything of the sort?
so Because more was of course was going to be more gameplay, but I mean you answered the question as far as connectability, able to hop in because I was able to watch your stream. You was because you was my number one source when it came to someone who can I watch who's going to play this game for who is a true Street Fighter fan who's just going
Why,
to be
thank you.
there. And so I was like, man, I want to watch bro and make sure I'm there and this, that, and the third. It was really exciting to see you go through that. One thing that I've seen before we get into gameplay, people were selling their access codes for $1,500 on eBay, and
Nuts.
they were going crazy. They were having bidding wars for this, and
Nuts. Yeah.
um, Drake's Revenge, absolutely. The new game syndrome is, of course, everything that happened to me with Elden Ring. But after like a good month for myself, month and a half, I was able to complete the game 100%. Actually, put 200 some hours into it. And I'm like, okay, outside of it being a From Software game, here's my honest opinion take on it.
Hmm.
But for this game, it's good to hear so much good
Yeah.
good comments about this, especially from the fighting game scene. This is a
Yeah.
fight. This is gonna do wonders.
And we're gonna address like the new game syndrome because I do think that that's something that should be a concern
Mhm.
in general cases, and I assure you that it's not the case here.
Right.
Because like getting into mechanics, like it's too early, and that's why I say it may be. I can't say that it is the best Street Fighter game ever. There's only really two things that can stop it from being the greatest Street Fighter game ever.
No Akuma.
In the beta, playing with every character in the beta except for Ryu, because there were so many Ryus online that
I heard he was
you don't.
broken.
He is in some senses,
Hmm.
uh, and and that's what makes it interesting. The game is broken in some senses, and I'm gonna
Okay.
elaborate more on that. Um, but in the beta, all 8 characters that were available were very, very different from each other. Jamie feels nothing like Kimberly, who feels nothing like Guile, who feels nothing like Ryu, who feels nothing like Ken.
Okay.
Like, yes, Ryu and Ken do not feel similar. Their
Mhm.
normals are far enough different from each other. The only two moves that they have in common is DP and Hadoken. But their tatsus are, obviously we know Ryu has the knockdown, Ken has the combo out of his tatsu. Um, they have really like hit home the mechanic of making Ken's V skill run from Street Fighter V one of his actual moves, and they have built his entire playset around his moves
Mhm.
to the point where if you use Ken's run with any of his special moves, whether it be Tatsu, Dragon Punch, or now he has his Dragon Slash kick, they are all modified in terms of frames, damage, hit counts, everything. Some of them will cross you up upon fire, and some of them will not cross up without fire. Um, and there is no more heavy dragon punch. If you want to do a flaming dragon punch as Ken, you have to run before you do it, and you can do it low, medium, or high. So it essentially almost doubles Ken's move set versus Ryu kind of leans more into a lot of his uh his um his cancels, like his focus hit cancels and such. He has like a charge that he can power up his Hadoukens. The donkey kick is back, and it's freaking overpowered in some ways. So like they feel very different, other than the fact that they have two moves that are the same. Like you in this game, you could effectively be a master Ryu player, and that not translate to Ken and vice versa. And I think that's really cool. Um, let's see. Let me see what we have here. Street Fighter made every character feel more unique than previous entries. See, so this is my thing. I don't know if you actually got to pay the beta or not, Drake's Revenge, but the thing is, while Street Fighter V did do some things to make characters feel unique, the thing that happens with the Street Fighter V is all those characters felt like they were Street Fighter characters. And then we got into more unique mechanics with characters as we got into DLC characters. And we got people like Manat, we got people like I forget her name right now, but the rival schools girl. We got Luke, and then they started to kind of bring in more mechanics to these characters What I mean by they make all of these characters unique in the 8 that we have, all of these characters already feel as unique as DLC characters. They all have their own gimmicks, they all have their own play styles, they all have their own individual mechanics that you can build your strategies around,
Mhm.
and it makes every character feel like they've been crafted to be unique from the ground up. Not characters that fit into this game and archetype. They are characters that actually feel unique, and to me, that is really interesting. Um, but kind of wrapping back around to the point, the two things that can ruin Street Fighter is if the I think because there's still another confirmed 10 characters, including the ones we've already got, which is Blanca, E Honda, and Dowsing. So including those guys, there's like another 10 characters already confirmed through the leak we got earlier this year. If those guys come out and for some reason they're just like cookie cutter, they're bland, they're boring, they're uninteresting, uninspired, um, that could cause for fall off. The other thing is a lack of support after the fact. But it seems like Street Fighter and Tekken in particular have kind of mastered the post-launch support, so I don't think that that's necessarily going to be a problem. Um, Single player content is whatever. If the single player content is all right, like let's be real, we want if you are a full time or a real FGC person, story modes don't matter. You want what, a survival mode, you want arcade mode, you want a expansive training mode, and their training mode is one of the most expansive there are. They literally have like different training modes where you can play, and when you go against the enemy and you attack, they'll have meters that show the frame data, so you can actually see which moves are cancelable, which ones are positive or negative on block. It is one of the most expansive training modes that I've seen. They have like pre-recordings for characters. Like if you want to practice and you want to do anti-airs, you have the option to manually record your opponent's actions, or there are quick setups that are already stored there for you.
That's
So
good.
yeah,
That's
when it comes to the training mode, like even like I know a lot of fighting games have been using the grid arenas for the training mode now. They've even gone as far as putting spacing notches on the ground so that you can keep note and practice for footsies and know exactly how much reach you have based on those notches. So they've really gone out of their way to kind of get those things going. Um, Other quality of life things, the modern controllers are not that bad. Um,
are they
they
okay?
are
Before you
so
continue with that, are they more or like in Dragon Ball Fighters? Is
no.
the classic more
So
rewarding than modern?
absolutely.
Okay, that's
So
where I
I
was going
would
with that. Okay,
yeah, so I would take it a step further where Dragon Ball Fighters, like if you at least kind of understand basic movement in Dragon Ball Fighters, you can probably beat out some fairly decent players with auto combos in Dragon Ball Fighters. And Street Fighter 6 modern controllers will not win the match for you. Um if you're using, the difference is this. So the way that modern controls work is, traditional classic controllers are a 6 button layout, medium, light, and heavy punch and kicks, respectively to their buttons. But with the other controls for modern, you basically get an attack button, a special attack button, and then a kick attack button, and then a kick special move button. So square is essentially all of your punches. Triangle is for all of your punch special attacks. X, in
mhm.
worlds of PlayStation, so translate to your preferred platform. X is going to be all of your kicks, and then circle is going to be all of your special moves for your kicks. So for instance, if I want to do a Hadouken, Hadouken is just triangle. If I wanted to do a Shoryu, it's front and triangle. If I want to do a Tatsu, it's circle. If I want to do, depending on which character, like Ryu has the donkey kick, front and circle will get me a donkey kick. I think back and circle with Ken would get you his dragon slash kick. Um, so basically it kind of plays out to where, because all of your attacks are mapped to one button, being square or X, you lose so much control over your character that it neuters the ability that you have. Um,
Mm.
so it makes it really, really, really obvious and easy to tell when you are playing against someone who is using modern controls, because they might give you 2-piece Hadouken, 2-piece Tatsu, 2-piece Hadouken, 2-piece DP. And and it's like, oh, okay, you're a modern control. Get out of here. Boom, wham, bam, critical, get out. Bye.
Mm.
But it's cool because I get, as Maximilian says all the time, people want to be able to just hit buttons and cool shit happens. So for those people that just want to play, or if maybe your kids want to play, cool, whatever. It's there. I didn't fuck with the commentary at all. I didn't touch it, didn't turn it on. I just left it off.
Right.
Um, but the part that most of us care about are like gameplay and mechanics. And this is why I say that for me it's not new game syndrome that's kicking in, because anybody that's played enough Street Fighter 5 knows that Street Fighter 5 launched, it came out, it did not have features. It was missing a lot of basic content that it should have had at launch. And as far as battle mechanics go, the battle mechanics, unfortunately, were built around big esports moments. They wanted to capitalize on allowing people to make comebacks. We had revenge mechanics with, we had our V trigger mechanics that could, with the right V trigger and some mid skills, you know, mid skills in pro range, you could make miracles happen.
Mm.
Um, that is not Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is a game of strategy, resource management, and decisions. So this is what makes things interesting. I might be mislabeling these, but there's like the drive rush or drive counter,
Excuse
which
me.
is the thing that we've all seen in the trailer where things go slow motions, boom, big splat of paint and shit.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that.
it is a very powerful move. It can be assumed that it is overpowered. But the thing is, the way that it pans out is you have 3 meters. You have your health meter, of course. You have your drive meter, and then you have your super arts meter. Your super arts meter can only be increased or decreased by using attacks and or using critical attack stat or super arts to reduce your super bar. There's no other way that it will be impacted. Um, I think you might get some for receiving damage too. I can't remember. But as far as your drive gauge goes, your drive gauge is going to be impacted by your meter burns. So if you want to use your meter, or which they call them overdrive in this particular game. So if you want to use overdrives or meter burns, that's going to come from your drive gauge. If you want to use a parry, the parries are coming from your drive gauge. If you want to use the drive impact or drive counter, it comes from your drive gauge. And you only have 6 bars. So the only ways that you're gonna get that back up is through aggressive play. You can't, like, if you're playing against a zoner and all you do is sit at the opposite end of the screen and you're blocking, that blocking will impact your drive gauge. You have to figure out what you're going to do, whether you're going to answer with your own fireball, whether you're going to jump over it and try to get in for attack. The option of passively sitting back and blocking is not an option anymore. Your guard will be broken eventually, because once your drive gauge is gone, you go into what's called a state of burnout. And once you're in burnout, it eliminates any options you have for expansive defense or expansive offense. And
Hmm.
it's a really bad position to be in. Um, but nonetheless, the drive counters are really cool because the drive impact slash counter can be an offensive or defensive thing. They do a solid amount of damage
Hmm.
and they seem to be overpowered. But the thing is, the reason I say that this game is kind of broken, but at the same time, it's not, everything that is powerful in this game or perceived as powerful has a equal counter for it that is just as powerful. So if you're playing against a guy that keeps using drive impact and they're just running your shit, guess what? You can parry it, which you can do by just holding medium kick and punch. A parry will always stop a drive impact. You can do a perfect parry by hitting that parry as soon as things come around.
Shout out to
Um,
the Perrys.
yeah, and there's a couple. And by the way, while we're on parries, there's 3 different parries. There's like a normal parry, which you can just hold medium punch and kick, and
Hmm.
it'll just stay in that parry pose. and whatever. If you do it that way, you don't get any type of advantage. You just get a block without damage, but you take a hit to your drive gauge. If you do a tap parry will usually give you a slight advantage. So if your enemy is using an attack that may be neutral on block, and you use a tap parry and you successfully land it, you're going to be plus for attack. But if they're using something that's safe on block and you use that, you guys are going to come neutral out of guard, and it's whoever gets there first. But if you get a perfect parry, you get a really cool animation. Things go in slow motion, and regardless of
Perfect
what
parry.
attack they use, you are plus, and you can do whatever you want to do. It's almost like a free punish. Um, so that's one option you have for drive gauge. Another option you have for the drive impact and counter, you can actually counter their counter with your own counter. What's interesting is so the way it works is if you drive impact someone, uh, and the way that it works is it's almost like a focus attack. It'll absorb 2 hits before it's broken on the third. So there you go. Another way you can actually counter the drive impact. But if it absorbs an attack and it actually hits, that's when you get that really crazy slow motion paint effect. The cool thing is you get a free combo, but that combo is usually, but follow me here, because it's kind of like that, but it's not. Because what happens
Been
is
going on for 37
if
minutes.
you actually counter off of that gauge impact, they're
Mm.
usually going to they're going to scale your combo by like 25-30%. So you'll get that free combo, but they're going to scale the shit out of it. But in return, if I drive impact and then parry actually counters my drive impact with his own, what's going to happen is we'll get that same slow motion. He'll absorb mine, he'll counter with his own, and then he gets a free combo, which at that point, it actually does almost double damage to my drive impact gauge. So he'll fuck around and burn me out very quickly. And on top of that, it actually will scale his combos, but it only scale it at like 5 or 10%. So you get a bonus reward as far as damage goes there. And then, of course, you can just break it again by smashing out a quick meter burn. Chun-Li's lightning kicks do wonders at breaking the drive impact. Um, and then, of course, there's your tech throws. So what it ends up being almost is you have to kind of make really smart decisions, because if you do a parry and that parry is a whiff, if you throw, you're going to receive significant damage. Like if you whiff a parry and then you get grabbed and you're not quick enough to tech that grab, that throw is going to do like 20 damage, and it's ugly. So what ends up happening is it ends up being a game where, of course, you already have to kind of be prepared and ready for whatever your opponent's going to throw at you as far as that particular character and the moveset that they have. But you've also got to be ready and prepared for those general game mechanics, and you've got to be ready to make those decisions. Um, and while doing that, you've got to manage that drive gauge bar, because again, if you burn out, you lose every option that is outside of your basic attacks. So no more meter burns. There are no more, parries. There are no more drive counters until your meter recovers in whole. And then also you can also counter drive parries with critical arts. Any super art or any critical art will stuff the fuck out of a drive parry, and you will win that every time. So, and the thing is, just like with the drive parry, the drive counter, we've already shared that the parries can be stuffed by a throw. There's already the tech throw. So everything in this game that feels powerful has a equal opposite solution to deal with it. So this game is absolutely about managing your resources, making sure that you're not going crazy. Because if you meter burn everything, you're going to burn out. You'll run out of options. If you drive impact everything, you're going to run out of your gauge. You're going to lose your options. If you try to parry everything and you whiff every time, you're going to run out. You're going to run out of options. And then the scariest thing is if you are in the corner and you get drive impact, even if you block that drive impact, if you're in a burnout state and you hit the wall, you're dazed. And you know what it means when you're dazed. You're going to get your ass whipped. It's going to be a bad time. So they really kind of lay it out there in a way to where it doesn't feel broken. Everything seems to be as balanced as possible. And why I say that this is not new game syndrome, because what I found is in starting out it was fun. But the more I got into it, like the casual matches were cool, but the most fun that I actually had with the game was day 3 after I got out of casual matches. And I said, you know what? This third day is going to be dedicated to nothing but ranked matches. That's when I had the most fun with the game. When you're playing with other people that are out of the pool of, all right, I'm filling things out, and you're playing with people that are ready to get into that next level, they understand the mechanics, so on and so forth, is when it was at its best. So it was actually better than it was before. Let me see what Drake says here. Sometimes being too balanced is a bad thing, in my opinion. Sounds weird, but trust me when I say that overbalance is beyond boring. Broken shit is fun. Yeah, but that's why I say it's not like it's balanced to the point where everything is fair. Like I said, drive impact is overpowered if you don't know how to handle it. Parries can be ridiculous if you don't know how to handle them. You know, grabs, if you can't tech them on time, can be fairly powerful. That's on top of the fact that the combos in this game, oh my god, the combos are amazing. Like
Can
this
I get
is
a word in?
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
You have not took not one
Yeah,
breathing
I mean,
break,
I've just been kind of breaking it down. So yeah,
bro.
by
Because
all means.
you seem like you have been having an enjoyable time. I just want to say welcome back into the chat. G, you may continue, because this is what I want people to understand and have fun with. Because you kind of, I didn't want to break you because you was on a roll. But one thing
Mhm.
you did point out that I found very interesting, as far as characters I never thought I wanted to try, but what you point out, Chun Li does not feel the same as previous games.
Okay, dude. So yeah, Chun Li. Interesting enough. Like if you've played Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, she feels more like Infinite. Her lightning kicks are no longer a smash. They're a fireball motion kick.
Mm,
And then also her up kicks where she goes in the air are down circle. So and then they, instead of her, just having those, they actually gave her a unique stance that will allow her to use different attacks in that stance as well. And her level 1 and 2 can actually be combo out of. So if you hit someone
mm.
with a level 1, you can combo into another like air level 1 or level 2, depending on how much meter you have. Like Chun Li's combo ability is ridiculous. Um, but just back to Drake's Revenge, like it's one of those things like where, as far as the balance concern goes, I do get that, because a lot of times what happens is they would say, "Whoa, well, this character is too powerful. Let's nerf them." It seems like along the lines of them making this game, when they made powerful mechanics, instead of saying, "Well, we need to pare back how powerful this is," they said, "No, let's make powerful abilities to counter it." So there are things that are broken that will be broken if you let your opponent abuse them, but there are equally broken methods of getting around them that are undefeated. Like for instance, like every character in the game now has a dedicated anti-air move.
Mm.
And with that anti-air move, if you use your character's anti-air move in a anti-air situation, they have high damage and vulnerability. So if you're Ken and Ryu and you use a Shoryu to combat someone's air kick, you have invisibility. So it's about knowing what tools your character has to deal with certain situations and understanding the game mechanics. Because I mean, how many times have we been frustrated? You go to counter with an anti-air and you end up doing a double clash, and you should not be punished. Or maybe you're playing with a character that does not have great anti-air tools. Well, that issue's been eliminated because everyone has some type of anti-air, and it's not just the cheap mechanic of, all right, well, every character can just hit down heavy punch and it's an anti-air. Like, no, every character has a dedicated unique anti-air. So again, this is only the first 8 characters. So
And
maybe things will change.
and plus this is only the beta. People need to
Yeah,
realize this is only the beta, and we have this much
exactly.
information done by someone who's reviewing the game. You had from what I've seen, you have a lot of old school players, like a lot of heavy competitors coming back to the scene, saying really good positive things.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to have edits, you're going to have updates, you're going to have balance patches, which is perfectly normal. But it really seems as though that the fighting game Street Fighter is coming back for its title for best fighting game ever, which is great to see. And one thing that I wanted to point out, Drake's Revenge, that he was saying, um, they are making this more accessible to casuals. They're going to have I believe, a good story mode. They're going to have things for casuals to enjoy. But we have to remember, we're not going to get that in the beta. We're not going to get all that in the beta. We're stress testing the network, the infrastructure. We're about to see how these people take to their gameplay and see how everything goes in our reviews from that. From what I've seen, and
Oh,
Capcom have learned. So I truly, and one thing that the hub is what I found to be so exciting and amazing from what I'm watching. I'm like, you got everyone doing the spinning head kicks, which were amazing. I love the One Piece character designs that everyone did. They
yeah.
look freaking amazing.
Yeah. The customer customization is the most dope and ridiculous thing there is. And then again, Drake's Revenge TV, I know that you had some concerns about Eternity. Out of the 22 hours I played during that weekend, I saw that guy for the first 5 minutes.
He was in
So,
and
Be
out.
able to fight with your own character, with your
so,
created character.
so you can fight with your own characters. So in the actual game, it's there's kind of the story mode, from what we understand, is almost set up like a NBA 2K my career, my player kind of deal.
Uh,
So when you get into that story mode, you are your custom avatar in the world of Street Fighter. You're maneuvering through Metro City, going to I think there's like a different dedicated battle hub for the customized characters to fight in and such.
Mm.
But you're
Okay.
going through the story, you're meeting up with different characters, choosing which one of those is going to be your master or sensei, and kind of going from there.
How many
But
characters do
yes,
you think they'll have to release?
I so I so they already have leaked the roster. We don't know yet. I think it was 18 characters on that list of leaked characters. We don't
Okay.
know yet how many of them are actually launch. So
Mm-hmm.
there could be some DLC characters in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it
I think
could be.
Akuma's not at launch. That
Yeah, no.
is,
Actually, no, we know. So Akuma's not at launch. So
yeah,
what we
Yeah,
got
he's
is,
definitely DLC.
yeah, because what we got is we got a image at the last Street Fighter press conference that showed the picture of all the characters that in
are
one
available.
image, and
Uh-huh.
I want to say almost everybody that was in that image was probably going to be in the game, but I know for sure Akuma definitely wasn't on that image.
Yeah,
So
Akuma wasn't. I believe the Brazilian fighter, she wasn't on there. The big one, and like two other ones wasn't on there. That was related to the leak that we've
yeah,
seen.
Okay.
So, but
That makes sense.
the designs that were shown on the leak prior to the actual showing of the launch characters, everything correlated to what we're seeing.
yeah, it
So,
was fire.
oh yeah,
Like I know we're getting Cammy soon, just because like one of the characters that leaked, we actually seen her critical art and everything, which was amazing. Cammy leaked like a month ago. So
Oh
we'll
wow.
probably get that at like Video Game Awards or some shit like that.
that
No.
Yeah,
is.
I wouldn't be surprised if Balrog was in it as a DLC character.
I would
Um,
like to see some Balrog.
yeah,
I just want to see Akuma with a beard.
yeah,
Like
we
That would
we
be
every,
know
interesting.
Akuma's pulling up, but yeah, like
oh,
like
that's so great. Oh, sweet
But all
Jesus.
concerns aside, because I was a little nervous, because even leading up to it, there were some FGC people saying, "Oh, well, it's just Street Fighter Five." It's
No,
not.
it's not. It's not even no.
Like, to wrap it up in a bow, it's almost like the best parts of Street Fighter Four, and Street Fighter Third Strike have come together, and they've just kind of wrapped a bow around it with the best parts of Street Fighter Five. Um, And in Street Fighter V, there were some great things that Street Fighter V did. It just launched so rough, it was hard for like the collective to kind of get over it. But it's like they've taken the best of all the best, of the most recent and best Street Fighter games, and they've kind of collaged it into one and balanced them out in a way that makes sense. So if you have not played yet, I'm sure there'll be another beta, closed beta for purchasers, or maybe an open beta before launch. It'll be coming. Like, just look out. It's definitely worth the try because
and
it's good. It's great.
in Drake Revenge, I see. I think Street Fighter 6. So we can wrap it up. Move on. Is going to have a way better launch than Street Fighter 5 just from this beta scene alone. Street Fighter 5 launch as a collective from all genres gaining me.
This is what I'm going to say. Street Fighter 6's beta launched with more content than Street Fighter 5's actual like 1.0 launch.
Damn.
Done. Next
Done.
time.